Aubrey, thank you so much for joining us. Now, these reports have surfaced since this weekend with really worrying reports of the sad state of affairs in terms of finances at the SABC. It must be very concerning for your members who work at the SABC.
Concerning indeed, and also worrisome, because we read this through the newspapers over the weekend. Remember that Communication Workers Union and the BMHAO, those are organized labor, who should have been consulted prior to this incident to know what the issues are. But more worryingly is that there was a commitment from the Treasurer or from the Department of Communication around the temporal bailout to SABC, which had its own conditions from the Treasury side that they'll set up a task team to look into the turnaround strategy.
But that work seems to be going on for a long time now.
Absolutely. Actually, the announcement says to us that there's nothing been done because, of course, if two parties have met, they would have just given us a direction as to what is happening now, where are we at this point in time. So it shows that both parties, there's somehow, to us, some political power play from both parties, and we have to identify where is it coming from.
Now, speaking of power plays, what do you see, who do you see being behind these power plays, and to whom would these power plays benefit?
Well, we'll not tell for certain now on two things. Is that first, we have written already a letter to the SABC. One is that obviously the Treasury was not convinced about the turnaround strategy of the SABC. We were not convinced earlier on because it included retrenchment. That's the first point. So when the Treasury says that it has to have a task team that will look into it, the management of SABC might not like that, but vice versa. It might also be seen from other quarters to say this is a political interference at the SABC. So for us is to really enter into the space and really to try to dissect what is it that is really unfolding there.
I suppose it's even more worrying that you're having to read about this in the newspapers and that communication channels have not been open to those representing the workers.
Totally unacceptable, because if I take you back, when there was a 0% increase when we went on strike, they said that come next year, January, which was 2017, there will be a day zero. When again there was a retrenchment issues later in the same year, they said they come March the following year, which was 2018, there will be a day zero. Today we are sitting here today. At this point in time, there's never been an introduction of this turnaround strategy that we've been all talking about. We have made our own submission. Nothing has moved in that regard. So it tells you that instead of people moving forward to try to save the SABC for the benefit of the country, there's nothing really tangible that they can give in to us.
I feel like we kind of had this conversation just a few weeks before the election, where alarm bells were also being rung that the national broadcaster would not have enough funds to even get its election coverage off the ground. How is it possible that every time the alarm bells are raised, that somehow it just keeps going? Because this organization, it sounds like they're going to run out of places to move money from and to.
Absolutely. I also sound like a broken record myself because we've been repeating this thing time and time. Remember, there was almost a total shutdown on Two Oceans Marathon, where we nearly couldn't see it. Paid TV channels has to assist. Same as Comrades Marathon, nearly that happened, but we were bailed out. So we can't have such a public broadcaster that is not reliable to those who are actually relying on it in the outskirts of the country and everywhere else, rely on SABC. So we need to find a management that will be able to drive the SABC forward. And we don't want lazy thinking like those who said for SABC to be afloat in terms of finances, they must cut jobs. I think that's lazy thinking, but we have a number of things.
What would you think, very, very quickly, because I do have to move on, yes. From a turnaround strategy, if you are being told that you've got a staff base with a huge salary base, where do you believe a turnaround can be made to make the SABC a going concern?
A number of things. One is the funding model of SABC needs to be revisited. The issue of digital migration to create more channels to redeploy the staff and also create more employment can be looked into. Also, we spoke about in the ANC conference, the increase of the government levy to SABC should have been implemented. So there's a number of things that really have to be looked into, but we have to call all the stakeholders, including ICASA, the MTTA, to assist in that process.
Have you reached out to the management of the SABC and the board to speak to them after this latest batch of reports have come out?
We have written letters today. We're waiting for their response. We are calling for urgent meeting as soon as today. So it depends on how they respond to it.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Aubrey Chabalala is the General Secretary for the Communication Workers Union. Thank you so much.